When Google started, no one could have predicted that it would one day make everyone dependent on it. Such is the power of Google today that has given birth to many careers which involve monitoring the activities on it. And given that so many online businesses depend on it, here's a list of some of the most searched for words on Google. Number 23. Bikini. Well, it's enough to say that there are a lot of horny guys out there, and even some women, so it stands to reason that they would look up the internet for some pictures of hot bods and beachwear. And since the trends of posting pics on Instagram and Facebook is really spreading like wildfire, the searches are really not disappointing. Number 22. BMI calculator. And if bikinis are high on this list, can BMI calculators really be that far behind? We all want to look good, and that means staying in shape. And while there are umpteen reasons for delaying that gym regimen, there is one thing that no one can really resist: finding out how they measure in terms of body weight analysis. And thus the search for BMI calculators on Google. Number 21. Scrabble word finder. Now this was one search we did not think would be so common. After all, Scrabble enthusiasts are not really found everywhere. But turns out that supposition is not really true. While we are all aware of the number of games that people play online, Scrabble being one of the most popular ones came as a surprise. And what is even more surprising is that not only do they play Scrabble, they cheat as well by finding words online. All's fair in love and Scrabble then, is it not? Number 20. Weather. Pretty obvious, isn't it? Everyone likes to travel, and the one thing they almost always check before going anywhere is the weather. And not just for travel. Weather is probably one of the most searched for keywords because, well, everyone loves to know whether or not to carry an umbrella. Number 19. Translate. This is another word that we often use while on Google. Of course, it is usually preceded by and followed by another language, and we are pretty sure that all of us have used this some time or the other. For example, if you speak Spanish and there's that one word whose meaning you don't really know in English, just Google it and it translates for you. Pretty convenient, right? Number 18. Maps. One of the worst things that could ever happen to you is to get lost when time is of the essence, like say when going for a meeting. So what do? Just go to Google and look at the map to ensure that you don't get lost on the way. And while there is a dedicated app on most mobile phones that give you a live update, there is no doubt that searching for the way before leaving is one of the most common things we do. Number 17. News. Who doesn't like to stay updated on the news? After all, that is the only way we will be able to figure out what Trump did to make a fool out of himself, isn't it? Of course, there are other important things as well that you generally find out from the news, and so it really isn't surprising that the news would be one of the most searched for things, is it? Number 16. Calculator. We all have bills to pay, and that too is a limited salary. That obviously calls for some complex permutations and combination, and hence, a calculator is needed. And why would you want to buy those clumsy physical ones when the internet can give you a particularly convenient one? Number 15. YouTube to MP3. Well, why would you want to buy music when you could get it for free easily? Converting videos on YouTube into MP3s is an easy way to get good quality music without paying anything. And well, when you really have so simple an option, why would you ever go to the iTunes store? Number 14. Dictionary. Every so often we come across those big, heavy words which no one really understands, and the usual reaction is to go running to a dictionary to figure out what it meant. But when the dictionary can come right to your fingertips, why bother ruffling through the pages? That is probably why dictionary is one of the most searched for words. Number 13. Restaurants near me. Cooking might look like a soothing and peaceful task, but when you get down to actually chopping onions, it doesn't really seem like such a calming thing to do. But then you can't just blindly walk into a restaurant, can you? You need to figure out the cuisine, the quality, and the price before you actually make a decision, which is why people often tend to search for restaurants near them to figure out where they should head for a good plate of food. Number 12. Speed test. Gone are the days when we needed to hook a dial-up connection to get on the internet. With broadband and fiber cable technology, internet speeds are just amazing. But there are always moments when we feel we are crawling on the internet rather than flying through it. And so we need to check the speed of the internet we are getting. And that's when a speed test comes in. And given that it is one of the most searched for things on the internet, it's safe to assume that the downtime incidents are more common than we thought. Number 11. Cheap flights. Thanks to the advent of Facebook and Instagram, all of us have vacation goals. Be it getting a beach body or the Mediterranean tan, we all love to post our fab holiday pics. But as always, money gets in the way of actually realizing our holiday goals. And so we often search for cheap flights so that we can actually get close to realizing our holiday goals. Number 10. Horoscope. While most people make it a point to be vocal about not believing in the stars, secretly we all sneak a peek at our horoscopes to figure out if good things are going to happen to us in the future. And since it is easy to be caught looking at horoscopes when you rifle through them in the papers, checking it on the net is much safer. Number 9. Solitaire. The bliss of playing solitaire on computers is something that can never be explained in words. It is the go-to activity for anyone who is bored out of their heads and yet needs to appear as if they are hard at work. We guess that pretty much explains the fact that solitaire is one of the most searched for words online. Number 8. Love quotes. Movies have pretty much defined what love should be and how courting should be approached. Look at those hapless lovers finding poetic words to woo their mates. It can often give an inferiority complex to real-life lovers. But then with the age of the internet that we live in, how can an inferiority complex be allowed to thrive? Every day, people can also sound like profound poets and win over their loves by simply saying some really wonderful love quotes. And where do they go for that? Definitely not a good poet, because it is all available easily on the net. Number 7. Pill identifier. Admit it, all of us have sometime or the other snuck pills from the closet to get a high, or to play doctor to some poor guy with a minor illness. But how do we do that unless we've actually studied for it? Simple. Go online, identify the pill, and see what it does. And if the side effects include hallucinations, all the better, isn't it? Number 6. Bitcoin price. Whether you know what it is or you don't, there is no doubt that you have probably heard of Bitcoin. And while it would really take too long to explain what it is, let us just say that it's a trading commodity and many people have invested their money in it. And hence, they are very curious to know what the current price is, so that they know whether they are making a profit or running a loss. And since there are so many potential buyers as well out there, it obviously stands to reason that it would be one of the most searched for words on the internet. Number 5. Currency converter. Whether it's for a foreign travel tour or because of foreign earnings, we all need to know how much our money is worth. And while the traditional way of doing that was to probably go to a foreign exchange to figure out the rates and then sit with a calculator to find the actual worth of the money, the internet has made lives easier with a currency calculator, which can actually tell in real time how much your money is worth in another country. Number 4. Funny pictures. Considering that almost all our day jobs are really drab, all of us are on the lookout for something to make our day a little bearable. And what better way to do that than by looking at pictures which make you laugh? Be it a yawning cat or a crying baby, funny pictures always make your day. And that is probably the reason that it features among the most searched for words on the internet. Number 3. Add reminder. Remembering things is something that not all people are good at, which is why the job of a secretary was created, so that those who could afford one did not have to bother with remembering those appointments. But the internet provided us with the option of having our own personal assistants who send us timely reminders of the things we have to do. And seeing that it is pretty high in the search words of Google, it seems that a lot of people have memory issues. Number 2. USA jobs. Trump or not, USA still remains a pretty sought-after place for people from all over the world to work in. And if they find work, we guess the Americans also need to start hunting for work. That does become a pretty vicious circle, doesn't it? But be it as it may, hunting for jobs in the USA remains a pretty frequent search on Google. And number 1, synonyms. We all like to sound wiser than we actually are. And one of the best ways to appear as a polished person rather than a commoner is to speak in a manner which no one really understands. And the easiest way to do that is to use a better sounding synonym for a common word. And the fact that it is one of the most commonly searched for words, it looks like everyone wants to sound more posh.